Welcome to Binge Theory, the coolest corner on the internet. I'm your humble host, Julian. And with me today, we have Kenny.
Hi.
We have Raymond.
Yo.
And we have Logan.
Hello.
And Happy New Year to everybody. This is 2021, and we're firing on all four cylinders. We have four people, and we have four topics. So you see how that's a theme in there. We are going to first wish everybody a Happy New Year. Hope everybody's doing well. Guys, have you enjoyed the New Year's? Are you taking 2021 on with vigor and all the good positivity in the world since we left that dumpster fire behind us?
I'm approaching it with trepidation, but still approaching it optimistically.
Don't have too many good, high level expectations. It is best to be a little, pessimistic these days.
Luckily, 2020 set the bar kind of low, so 2021 doesn't have to do much to be, better.
Just slightly better.
Yeah.
Ray, what's going on in your world?
Oh, nothing much. What do you call this? Just trying to get stuff together for my 2021. It's well, yeah. Like Kenny said, 2020 was a little bar, so it's there's no place to go but up.
Exactly. When you're in the basement, everything's a penthouse. So, gentlemen, I appreciate that. And starting off, on HBO Max over the holiday, Warner Brothers has released Wonder Woman 1984. As you can see from Raymond's background, everybody loves Raymond. The Gal Gadot project, has gone on a separate journey from the overall Justice League. I'm the only one who's seen it. Now, I'm going to keep my thoughts on it to myself, but I'm just, because of what's been said on the internet in the general reviews, I just wanted to put that out as a topic. Gentlemen, what have you heard about the movie? Because I guess I'd like to get just your, off the cuff thoughts on first of all, did you want to see a Wonder Woman 1984? What are your expectations? I guess would be the best thing to start off with.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I definitely wanted to see a Wonder Woman 2. I don't know how much I wanted a Wonder Woman 1984 specifically. I can't think of too many movies set back in the 80s, short of Hot Tub Time Machine, that have really done the 80s justice. So it'll be interesting to see how this takes on that. But it's been interesting. I've heard two kind of conflicting rumor mills around this. When I've been, masked up and socially distant, shopping late night at a food store when it's empty, I hear the, clerks and the two or three people who are there talking about it rather positively. I feel like I've heard more positive things about it from random strangers than anything else. However, friends on social media feeds and whatnot have a lot more in the way of some specific concerns and complaints and things that the movie does that I don't quite fully understand because I haven't seen it yet, but that give it a lot more of a critical eye than I've heard. So it's definitely intending on seeing it. We'll probably be getting I think they have a deal right now for 20% off for 6 months or something. So I'll probably be picking that up shortly and look forward to seeing it eventually.
Interesting. Now, Ray and I have been talking about movies for years, and one of the things we always were jawing about was the comic book universes. And Ray, what have you heard? I mean, Logan, that's interesting that you get that little bit of a two-tone there. Some that are like it's great, some that are like a little more critical. Ray, what have you heard so far?
Well, I'm also getting mixed reviews. I mean, first of all, I'm really looking forward to this movie for two reasons. They shot the scene in Landmark Mall, which is the mall that I grew up in, basically. just to show you how much it hasn't changed all throughout these years. The second one is I've seen all the Linda Carter Wonder Womans, including the one in the 70s when she comes back in the 70s and 80s. Um, and I kind of got that same vibe when I was seeing the trailers, where she's wearing this pretty much the same outfit that Linda Carter was wearing for her. I think Linda Carter was working for an organization, a government organization, and she was wearing that pretty much the same type of outfit and stuff like that. So I'm kind of curious to see where they're going with this. I have a feeling that they're doing this sort of like to stick close to the series without actually it being exactly what the series is, because it's a double-edged sword. It can work both ways. I mean, if you stick too much to the series, then it's kind of like super, not the Christopher Reeve Superman, the one that came after that and prior to the other Superman, basically.
Oh, the Brandon Ruth one?
Huh?
The Brandon Ruth one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Superman Returns.
Superman Returns.
Superman Returns, yeah. And then the opposite way is you go completely off track, that it really just, especially for the fandom, it could turn out to be a disappointment. But I've heard mixed reviews, and like in social media, yes, it's saying that it's not quite as good as the first Wonder Woman.
And I do have some insights as to the production of this one versus the old one. I'll say that for a little while, but that's a great comparison, Ray, in regards to the classic serial, the 1970s, 80s, geez. And I think it was OSI.
OSI, that's it. Yeah, OSI.
Yeah, I don't even know how I pulled that, but yes.
Yeah, it was OSI, and there was this the main brain computer. What's his name? Oh,
geez, yeah. It was literally just a box with lights.
Exactly.
Like all computers back in the the 90s. The 80s, 70s. Geez. OSI, yes, yeah, quite a secret organization. Kenny, what are your thoughts? Are you a Wonder Woman fan? Are you looking forward to it? Do you plan on seeing it?
Would love to see it.
I think we might have. Oh, Kenny, I think we lost you. I think OSI is shutting us down.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back, Kenny. You're back. I'm sorry. We missed
All right.
30 seconds. What you said.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, loud and clear. There you go. Let's see here.
So not having HBO Max makes it a little difficult.
It does, yeah.
So, but I would like to see it. I really enjoyed the first one. I've read comic books a majority of my life. I would usually lean more towards Marvel instead of DC, but so I didn't grow up a Wonder Woman fan. But Gal Gadot has really sold Wonder Woman to me. So I think she's done very well. She did very well in the first Wonder Woman film. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, no, and I like exactly what you're bringing up there is apps. I concur. I think Gal Gadot, of the list of brunettes that had some physicality to them, I liked what she brought to the role. Don't know if she's ever going to win an Oscar with that acting, but then again, she's playing a comic book character. I don't think we're going to get that Joaquin Phoenix or that Heath Ledger or that Robert Downey Jr. performance. Still enjoyable. I want to just fill in some of the gaps in regards to the production of the first one and this one, and why they may have a different type of a flavor, if you will. Patty Jenkins directed the first one, did a great job. I admired her work. She did Munster with Charlize Theron and Christina Ricci back in the day, and then Wonder Woman, who was her first foray into the superhero universe, and she directed it. Did not write it. She wrote this one. So I will just say that without giving, and I don't want to, feed into one way or another. It is definitely a different tone and a different story structure than you got in the first one. So that's probably one of the reasons why. And it is very yellow, very vibrant with 80s pastels and Ray, thanks for bringing up that point about Landmark Mall up here in the DC area. I honestly, I thought it was a Crystal City Mall, but now that you say that, it makes sense. And it makes perfect sense because unfortunately around, I don't know if it was due to COVID, but that mall did get shut down. So it is just empty space. So that would have been perfect set for them to shoot a mall scene.
Yeah, it was way before COVID. That mall really did not do well.
No, it died like the 80s. So,
Yeah,
what malls, I mean, come on, when's the last time you were hanging out at a mall? Don't answer that. Anyway, let's digest a little bit more of the DC Marvel. Not because I think Logan and I did a podcast about that a long time ago.
We did.
Yes, and that's a rabbit hole for you. But Kenny, you said that you read mostly Marvel, and also did you ever read Wonder Woman comics, or was that kind of on the peripheral, or as part of a whole? When they did like Justice League, did you ever read any?
Yeah, it was more Justice League that I read. I didn't read the individual Wonder Woman. I actually only just got back into DC when they did the Rebirth. The New 52. That's when I got back into DC Comics. The Green Lantern and Flash are probably my biggest DC characters that I enjoy reading about. So that's what's in the majority of my collection.
I'm really curious to get your thoughts on the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds.
That's a long story.
I think Ryan would agree with you.
Yes.
Yep.
It was long.
As he did in Deadpool 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And speaking of which, I believe I don't know if it's still on hiatus, but they were trying to make a Flash movie starring Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. You looking forward to that, Kenny? And what are your thoughts overall at these comic to movie adaptations? Don't get me wrong. I think the jury's kind of in that Marvel's been killing it, with all the different directors. But what are your thoughts about DC? I mean, obviously they've been going a slightly different path.
So I agree.
Oh,
I think they just cracked the code.
Oh, Marvel?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I mean,
yeah.
I tend to agree because, see, honestly, I feel that Wonder Woman is the best This Gal Gadot has made the best adaptation of Wonder Woman. But the fact of the matter is, they are kind of, when someone sets so when you go through, the first Superman, the first with what's his name? Oh gosh,
George Reeves.
No, the current one.
You're talking about Brandon Routh?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I mean, I know they're starting off with different, starting off way differently than Marvel, but as soon as you try to follow the trend, that kind of like right now, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think I can see that the 1984 Wonder Woman is the answer to Ragnarok with all the pastel 80s type of what do you call it? 80s type of Flash Gordon type of look, stuff like that. So I mean, it's I would have, I think that it's nice that they're trying to do this, but it's the just the fact that it's so they're trying to they're trying to follow the path of Marvel is not actually you know it's not actually that good a strategy.
Gotcha. Sometimes you got to do the work. You can't just copy off somebody else's.
Exactly. Like this image right here. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I want to get your guys' thoughts on it when you do actually see it. I have seen it, and it's definitely not a Marvel film. I will agree with that. There are flashes of Stranger Things, if you will. But again, I will just stick by my comment that Patty Jenkins wrote and directed this one for whatever that's worth. Let's move on to our second topic, if you will. This is more along the lines of behind the scenes in filmmaking. It has come out, I think, right around the holiday that Shia LaBeouf or LaBeouf or LeBeau, depending on your pronunciation, was fired from a movie by director Olivia Wilde. It's called Don't Worry, Darling. It's a film that she was putting together. And from what I saw, it looked like it had an amazing cast. It had, a ton of people in it. Shia LaBeouf has been an interesting character in general. He's been around since Charlie's Angels, speaking of TV series gone to movies. And let's just say he's, I believe, what's the term, Logan? Not a character actor, but a
method actor.
That's it.
Hmm.
And a lot of his characters have required him to go places that maybe he hasn't fully come back from. And let me just put it out to you, gentlemen. Apparently, the story is on the set of this film that Olivia Wilde was directing. It just came out that he was very hard to work with, and also in parallel news, I remember hearing through the holiday that he was being accused of being abusive in several relationships. He was in a relationship with FKA Twigs, and she said he was, verbally and emotionally abusive. I don't know physical, and I don't want to put that out there if that is not the case. But there was kind of a consistency in people saying that he was just an all-around tough guy to work with. Here's my thoughts. First of all, I want to get your overall thoughts on Shia LaBeouf, and what just your thoughts on him. And have you seen his films? Have you seen his work? What do you think of him in general? And then I want to talk about cancel culture, and if that is a thing, and if he should have been fired from the site, from the show for being difficult. But first of all, Kenny, you familiar with Shia LaBeouf's work? I mean, do you like him in anything? What are your general thoughts of him?
Yeah, I remember him way back when he did the Disney movie Holes. Going back to his childhood.
Yes.
Yes.
The Greatest Game Ever Played. Those were both really great movies. So I really like him as a character in movie and the roles that he portrays.
Interesting. Yeah,
based on the what's publicly shown, it's a little different story.
True. And sometimes you get asked, can you separate the art from the artist? And yeah, I think it depends. Raymond, what are your thoughts on Shia? Good actor, good person, doesn't matter.
Unfortunately, I'm probably one of those people who can't separate the actor from the. I mean, he's. I'm sorry, but I can't shake the whole Even Steven vibe off of him. I mean, what do you call it? Even Steven or Even Stevens? Even Stevens.
Now, is that a film? I may be missing that reference. What is Even?
That was his Disney series, right?
That was his Disney series, yeah. So, and plus Holes. I mean, it's kind of sometimes when you start off, that young, you kind of get caught in this like for instance in this I mean I read some of the script for the actual movie that Olivia Wilde was trying to direct.
Oh,
And based on what they need for the actor, I mean, this is like in the 60s or something, or 50s or 60s, I think. And that back then, it's like the guy is the dominant figure that he can just come home and just come home, smoke a cigar, yell at his wife, and that's a normal thing.
oh, Mad Men type of a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't see. I'm sorry, but I don't know what happened in the set, but I don't see Shia LaBeouf in that. I I I see him in Transformers. I see him in Holes. I see him in Bagger Vance. I think was good. Was he? He was in Bagger Vance, right?
No,
Am I thinking of
that was Matt Damon.
All right. No, you're right. That's Matt Damon. He was something similar, but Eagle Eyes. Okay, but I even with Eagle Eyes, the whole action kind of a. I don't know if I'm getting the title right. He's in Eagle Eyes, right? He's in Eagle Eyes. Yeah. The whole action, it was great, but at the end of the day, it's like I'm still looking at even. And it's kind of hard to shake that. I mean, I think it's kind of hard, especially with people who start off really young in Disney and stuff like that, and just move on to other roles. Kind of hard to shake that whole, Although, what's her name from also from Disney who did the Greatest Showman?
Zendaya.
Yeah. So
I don't know how I'm pulling.
There are exceptions.
Yeah, and again, well, and to be fair, it probably would depend on where you were in your life when you saw these things. Because Zendaya's, I think, more recently, and I don't think that we're hanging out watching Disney kid shows as much as we were 20 years ago, etc. But that
yourself.
Well, yes, and again, you may be watching it as a companion to a younger generation.
Well, my grandma babysat, so yeah. But I just like I haven't seen even the times that I have seen Even Stevens, like a couple of times. It was enough to give an impression. Trust me.
Well, and sometimes that's your point of reference. And it is probably the how memorable it is that resonates with them going forward. Logan, your thoughts on Shia? I mean, you and I probably. Well, I'm curious. What's your history of Shia LaBeouf that you recall? And
I remember Even Stevens, though I didn't have cable when I was young, so I remember knowing about it from kind of afar, friends' houses. I certainly remember Holes. I remember probably most vividly Transformers, and his stint with Indiana Jones and that movie. There was more wrong with that than just him.
Listen, don't argue with the science of avoiding a nuclear blast in a refrigerator. That's science, Logan.
These things worked in the 60s, okay? But no, I mean, you can point to a lot more stories of child actors not just ever quite being able to escape something, whatever that thing was. And I think to some extent he's tried to do it by taking roles that are just out of his comfort zone and out of something you would expect him in, like I think you mentioned, and I think he's probably been very frustrated in his personal life, and in some ways that's kind of self-perpetuated itself into a lot of bad choices, and I think for some reason just something just hasn't quite clicked out of that that past of his. And he can't quite get over it, and the roles he's in can't quite get him over it. And I can't imagine how frustrating and just futile feeling that could be. Does it justify anything he's done personally? No, of course not. And you still need to rise above as much as you can. And And in some of the articles I saw, Olivia Wilde as a director is more known for kind of zero tolerance of rear ends on the sets than most other directors or many other directors. So you've got to know that going in too. You know, if you're going to go into a director who's going to encourage method acting for every actor 24/7, it's going to be a very different feel than somebody who wants a collaborative, communicative, you know, safe set kind of a thing.
So you're saying she wouldn't like Jared Leto on set?
I'm saying she would never even consider hiring him, it sounds like. And, you know, that's a choice for the movie she's making and the role she's casting. And as a director, if she has casting say, then that's up to her. So I do feel kind of bad for him, while at the same time he can still be held accountable to the things that he's done or chooses to do. You know, we all love a good redemption story, so I'd love to see him figure it out and pull it out in the end and pull in a you know, great body of work in the second half of his career, because I think it's probably in him somewhere. He's just got a lot to get over to get there.
I want to you know, hold on to that and go a little deeper, because I actually am a Shia Labeouf acting fan, and but only because I've seen a lot of his independent work. So I would almost say that he has actually shaken off the Even Steven, Charlie's Angels, even I Am Legend. No, not I Am Legend. I, Robot. You know, aspect of his career, and to the point of how he grew up and his, let's just say, developmental, I don't want to say issues, but let's just say issues. And because he did a film recently, wrote and directed, called Honey Boy, which is, you know, semi-autobiographical, where it's about his father being an actor and neglecting him and him basically coming to terms with that. He also had done a film called The Peanut Butter Falcon, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I think that was more about the casting of a developmentally disabled person in the cast, and he was also in it with, coincidentally, one of the co-stars from the other movie, Dakota Johnson. She was in Peanut Butter Falcon. I also liked him in some of the other films he's done. He was in Fury with Brad Pitt, John Bernthal, and somebody else. Yeah, it was a new younger actor. But when we're talking about method acting, I know that he and this is, you know, serious. What he has done for some of these roles in the film Fury, because it was set in World War II. He felt that the character should have a tooth missing. So, like a true method actor, he filed down one of his teeth to have a missing tooth in his close-ups. He should have known that you can do that with CG, but, you know, why go into details about stuff like that? And I've seen him in other films where he's just been very committed to the role. And you know, and I never really cared about him in Transformers. Transformers lost me by, I think, the second one, when it was based. It was literally a 1980s cartoon with about the same plot points and story arcs as a 1980s cartoon. That being said, and also he just recently did a film where he's playing a Latinx character. And a gangster, a hitman, and there is a lot of thoughts on his appropriating that culture, because I think at first they thought it was, you know, just somebody who wasn't Latinx, and he was just, you know, in that role. But no, he went full on, and he got a very large chest tattoo, you know, referencing a lot of Latin culture. So. I think he's going full speed, but who knows what direction he's trying to actually get to. That being said, the art from the artist, fine, and, you know, and to your point, Logan, Olivia Wilde, she don't play that. So, you know, he got the old heave-ho. I appreciate that, but I would recommend checking out his works. If artists aside, and Raymond, I know you're trying to get him out of holes and out of even Steven, but I
Well,
would,
actually, okay. To be fair,
yeah,
he did a good job with Disturbia. Especially
there
when
you
his
go.
father, yeah, especially when his father died in Disturbia. That was that was pretty good acting.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that was again like what 15 years ago. That was a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, but his recent work, I definitely recommend check only because it's so intense. Personal thoughts behind, which is hard. And I'll since we're talking about uh, the I know we're talking about two things. We're talking about the initial typecasting that some of these characters get when they're young, and when you just can't picture them in another role or that goes with them, but also the personal things that they're doing. And if they're disturbing enough, does that take away from the art that they are generating and have generated? I'm just going to put it out there, referencing people like Mel Gibson, who has done some less than savory things and said less than savory things. Can you appreciate his prior work, and would you patronize his upcoming work? Yeah, I know that's a little off topic, but I would like your thoughts on that. If an actor did something that you found just you can't approve of it, does that make you cancel your prior viewing of them? Like, would you ever watch their old works again or their future works? Kenny, I'll let you go first, sir. If and it doesn't have to be Mel. It could be anybody that you've just found out did things that you just don't appreciate. Would you be able to separate the actor from the acting?
I would say that's an interesting question, because I think it doesn't always apply. It doesn't necessarily solely apply to this discussion. I think in general, that's something that occurs daily, where we accept people that may not be, I guess, morally, on a good moral path, or just not good people, but because they do good or great things for, like somebody may.
Oh, we lost him. Kenny, I think you froze up, buddy, but I think I knew you were going. Up, up. Okay, I'm sorry we lost you, Chief, or you're frozen up. But I'm going to go along with you. Sports, athletes, people that you may admire. And Kenny, I think you're back. That may do something that you find not even necessarily morally repugnant, but maybe just along a different path than you appreciate politically,
Yeah.
Religious wise, philosophically, just something that you don't agree with. And I'm sorry, you froze up on me halfway through your point. So I'll let you finish, because I think I was just trying to fill in the blanks.
No, you pretty much hit the nail on the head, as you said earlier.
Yeah, I love that expression.
Yep. But that is, I think it's sometimes hard for us to separate the two, because we don't want to believe that someone that we look up to, or someone that we've admired for, any period of time, and you find out that they're not necessarily a great person, we don't know how to process that. We don't know how to deal with that. So we tend to ignore it.
Yeah, they say never meet your heroes, probably for good reason. Logan, I know you had a thought on the actor versus the acting.
I think for anybody who is socially conscious to any extent, there is going to be a slightly different line for each of them, where people can get to a certain point, and it's not like I'm going to say I hated their movie that I watched 10 years ago and I liked, but maybe you'll say I can't watch anything else they're doing. Mel Gibson and Tom Cruise, I think, are good examples of that. Then there's a point where I think, people can do stuff to such a level where it's just like, I will actively avoid things that they're doing. Maybe I'll try and find a Tom Cruise movie for free if I feel like it, or I like the co-stars or something. But there are some people that just, no, like the things that they do in life or whatever just cross such a line to such an extent personally that just you can't do it. And things that come to light and things that happen, and it's just, I'm not going to talk about how much I liked your movie 10 years ago, but I'm never going to watch it again. And I can't disassociate your face, who you are, just seeing you from the person that you are. And I think that there's a lot of social pressure to create and apply a universal line. And I think that has perhaps some short-term merit for kind of righting some wrongs that have gone, intentionally shoved under the rug and overlooked for far too long. But ultimately, I think it comes down to kind of a personal level of what, where your lines are, and you have to have the social understanding to know where you are going to draw your lines, but also where, that this is just a stand that you have to take.
Perfectly stated. And I want to dovetail on that. When you said Tom Cruise, that did trigger something in me where I was like, there are different lines that impact different people differently. Mm-hmm. And of course, for those that don't know, Tom Cruise had, he's very religious with Scientology, but he's also said specific things, sharing his thoughts on, I believe it's psychiatry and different things on postmortem depression. He has made very, let's say, inflammatory statements about different things. Mm-hmm. Some of those things may not pertain to me, so they may not offend me or upset me, but that does not mean that they're not offensive. Mm-hmm. So I do like that, Logan, that certain people have certain lines because we all have different perspectives, and a universal line, although it could be good for let's just say a rising tide.
Yes.
Of morality, it doesn't necessarily pertain to individuals. That's your own line. That's your own personal thoughts. Raymond, my friend, what have actors done to upset you?
Well, I think for me, so yes, I do feel that, I same with Logan. I feel that, there are certain things that, you if you cross the line, then, patronize and just, patronizing them, them by going to their movies and all that stuff would actually send kind of a different kind of a wrong kind of a signal that, okay, I can do anything very well in my personal life. It doesn't affect my work. Well, we all know that a lot of times our, even not with acting, just with regular job, the stuff that you do in your, private life actually does eventually trickle down to every other aspects of your life. That being said, though, I also agree with Logan that I never close my door to a true redemption story. I mean, and I feel that, the classic example, Robert Downey Jr., the problems he had, and then all of a sudden, I thought that he was a genius when it came to Iron Man. And I think they chose him as a perfect Iron Man. Of course, kind of backslid a little bit with Dr. Dolittle, but but
that erased all his progress, with Dr. Dolittle.
Exactly. It's like, oh my gosh, he just threw everything away. But yeah, I honestly feel that, I think every person, even especially with actors, every person has their own what do you call this, well, their own issue that they eventually, if they actually did, you know, you know, did something that would not only affect their personal life, but also affect, and I'm sorry to say that actors like congressmen and senators, you're in the limelight. So whatever you do is really magnified 100-fold. The camera will magnify everything 100-fold. So, but I do feel that there are times where I can separate the genius from the personality. Um, and this is going to sound so bad, but one of my favorite series is House, because of the fact that he's this total genius, but he has to take Percocets or painkillers just so that he can function the way he's functioning. I mean, but yeah, there are certain times where I can appreciate the genius separate from the person, but then again, like Logan, there are certain times where basically, you cross the line. I will not patronize whatever you're selling.
I agree with you guys 100%. I will, in wrapping this up, in wrapping this topic up, I want to give an anecdote right along those lines. And funny enough, Raymond, in regards utilizing Robert Downey Jr. as a porn example, I mentioned Mel Gibson earlier because to me he just personifies somebody who had reached the zenith of popularity and then, based on his own actions, had made a spiral into almost oblivion. He's still around because he can direct. He is a talented director and actor, no bones about it. But the things he has done and said, personally, I find reprehensible. And again, we already established that your personal boundaries and moralities are what drive you. And I had boycotted him across the board after his first videotapes and audio tapes had come out and the things he had said. I shut him down completely, shut him down. And then it was like maybe a few years ago, it was around Christmas time, and the Lethal Weapon marathon came on. And I loved me some Lethal Weapon back in the day. And I said, I can't watch it. No, and I started to turn the channel. And then this epiphany came to me. Part of my childhood included Lethal Weapon, those memories. And I almost felt that I would be cheating myself out of those memories if I had to basically cut it out by ignoring that they ever existed. So and again, going forward, not not patronizing his future projects or anything like that, but why should I have to suffer for his misgivings? Because I loved Lethal Weapon. So I would enjoy the memory of watching Lethal Weapon. I may not watch it as much as I used to, but I shouldn't have to remove something that I enjoyed because of his actions. Now, that's my own personal choice for that specific situation. Now, I want to talk about the difference between Mel Gibson and Robert Downey Jr. and why both of them had struggles, but the difference between the two, I would say, is essentially this. Robert Downey Jr., the 80s, the 80s just chewed him up and spat him out.
I think the theme for this whole episode is the 80s.
Yes, yeah, there you go. The 80s are horrible, I think is the theme. But Robert Downey Jr., through his trials and tribulations, would literally end up in people's beds that he did not know, whacked out on too many Starburst or whatever he was consuming back in those days. But Mel Gibson, although he had a drinking problem and who knows if there were other substances that he was abusing, it wasn't about him doing damage to himself. It was about him pointing that venom towards other people. And I think in general, people may be a little more accepting of somebody who's doing self-harm as opposed to venting towards other people. And I think that's my personal differences. Robert Downey Jr., love him, talented actor, went through a lot of problems, got himself together, and rallied. There's your comeback story. Mel Gibson was attacking people. And to me, that's a whole nother level of damage, even though he was hurting inside, I'm sure. But it's the fact that, and who knows what Robert Downey Jr. was doing? Like you're saying, you're in the spotlight. So who knows? Robert Downey Jr. might have been kicking puppies for all I know. But there's tape of Mel being bad. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's all up to PR. Maybe we're all just miserable people, and you just need to make sure you're not caught on camera. I think that's the lesson. Everybody's
that's a questionable moral to take away from that.
I thought about it. That's the
yeah.
Anyway, guys, awesome topic. Don't want to get too heavy. I do want to bring up our next topic. There is an 80th birthday of Miyazaki, and is that the right pronunciation? Logan, Miyazaki, I believe it.
You've got me on that one.
Yeah. Miyazaki's 80th birthday had just gone by the other day, and he is the I believe the founder of Studio Ghibli, one of the best Japanese animation companies out there. They have so many remarkable products that they've put out there, and I just thought maybe this would be a good opportunity for us to, first of all, wish him a happy 80th. And I hate to ask, is he alive?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, happy 80th, Mr. Miyazaki. Yeah. And just, if anybody has a favorite Studio Ghibli movie that they've seen, because I have a couple that I've liked, but I wanted to let you guys talk about maybe one that you've seen and appreciated. Kenny, are you a Miyazaki fan, a Studio Ghibli?
Absolutely. And I'll actually caveat what you said about about Studio Ghibli being one of the best Japanese animation. I think Studio Ghibli is one of the best animation studios in the world, in my opinion. My own personal opinion.
That's what we're looking for. Yes. No.
But I'm a huge fan. I think he has such a unique way of storytelling, and the way he produces and directs and puts his movies together is amazing. Like the first time I saw Ponyo, which in and of its own right is a great movie, but then you learn that it's his telling of The Little Mermaid, and it changes like the way you think about the movie and what you look at and the things you notice the next time you watch it. So I didn't take that away the first time I watched it. It was something I learned later. But as far as my favorite Miyazaki films, there's probably a tie between two, which is Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle.
Mm.
Awesome. And again, the visuals, just stunning. Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle. It's the visuals. I appreciate it. But also you're right, the storytelling, the characters, the heart. And that's one of the things I think his movies have a lot of, is just this heart, this empathy, this humanity that you feel. Logan, good sir, are you a Miyazaki fan, and do you have a Miyazaki film?
I have enjoyed the ones that I've seen. I will admit I have not seen very many of them. It just hasn't kind of come up on my list of sit down and kind of what to watch. I would say it's probably between Princess Mononoke and Howl's Moving Castle. I remember specifically being blown away just by kind of the imagery and the visuals in Howl's Moving Castle in particular was just stunning. And yeah, it was a long time ago that I watched them. Easy 10, 15 years, I'd say. But yeah, I mean, it was... I remember liking the movies for their visuals, but I also remember wanting to kind of look a little more, because I feel like one of the things that I'll do when I really do find an anime or a movie in particular, any foreign language adaptation of anything that I love, is I love to watch it subtitled with the original language as well as dubbed, to kind of understand the difference and how things are being translated for an American audience in words, to have a better sense of how it's kind of being portrayed in its native one. You know, it sometimes almost takes that confusion of English portrayal to understand the native one better. And I know that the manga or the book that Howl's Moving Castle was kind of based on is a little bit different and emphasizes different themes than the movie did. And I wanted to kind of go back and kind of dig into it more. Never did for a variety of reasons, I'm sure. But yeah, I would say it would probably be between those two.
Excellent. Raymond?
Well, unfortunately, perfectly honest, I'm not sure if I even seen. No, Kenny, you mentioned something about the Little Mermaid. Now I did see a couple of Hans Christian Andersen animes when I was young. And are you saying that? I'm sorry. What is his name?
Ponyo.
Miyazaki.
Miyazaki. Yeah. Are you saying that Miyazaki was the one who produced these? Or
No. He did a movie called Ponyo.
Oh, Ponyo. Okay.
Yeah, and it's essentially his way of telling the Little Mermaid story.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah, so that was just his interpretation of it, but I didn't know that the first time I watched it.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I've been traumatized by anime since when I was a kid. So, basically, not just. Okay. Just to give you the story, growing up, we watched a lot of Japanese anime: Voltus Fight, Mazinger Z, Diamond X, Grandizer, you name it. Just the fact that you have Japanese anime being dubbed by Filipinos who are trying to speak English, it kind of like did not just jive with me. But for the fact that people were dying at every season I was going like, these are cartoons. Why are you people killing? I mean, it's like I was a kid. It was like cartoons and people. This is my experience with my first experience with death was with anime cartoons. But no, but seriously, I haven't watched anime since I was a kid. I mean, it's like yeah, and mostly just robot stuff, Mazinger Z, Diamond X, and stuff like that. But I've never seen anime when I moved to the States. I've actually seen a couple, but not. I don't watch too much anime. So I'm sorry to say.
I'll tell you that's valuable because I also think one of my first childhood memories of death was in a Japanese anime series. It was what I found out later what The Lion King was based on.
Okay.
It was Simba the white Kimba the white lion.
Okay.
It was Kimba the white lion, and good old US of A came and said, "Give me that," and they made Simba the lion cub, aka Lion King, but it was a series, an old series, Kimba the White Lion, and there was not graphic, but it definitely dealt with death. Mm-hmm. And I was probably in the single digits when I saw this, and yeah, you can't really process it. So that is an interesting. And I also would say that in general, genuine Japanese animation. Mm-hmm. Especially earlier on, dealt with death.
Yep, exactly.
And when you look at, let's say, for example, the American animation, even in the 80s, it was basically cranked out of Korean animation studios like G.I. Joe, Transformers. That's why they shoot lasers and they hit nothing, because they don't want to talk about death. Everything is just basically jumping out of an airplane while it's exploding. Lots of parachutes. And lots of near misses, lots of stormtrooper firing, as Logan and I have made mention of before. But and to back up Logan, my favorite Ghibli film was Princess Mononoke. And the thing that grabbed me about that is one of the things that solidified the difference in cultural perception of death in spirits. And I actually spent some time in Japan, and one of the things that I appreciate their perception of the other world, or the spirits, is that it's not necessarily good or bad. It's just a different plane of existence. Whereas America, the spirits are basically ghosts or angel. I mean, like monsters or angels, and in
They're
Princess
good or bad.
exactly. There's always like a more of a I guess a Puritan type of a view, like you're evil or you're you know uh, angelic. However, in Princess Mononoke, demons weren't bad; they were just I guess kind of like manifestation of energies and things like that. And anybody who's seen Princess Mononoke knows that there were like wolf demons and wild boar demons and like rebirth demons. So it was not a moral demon. It was more of a just what the function of it is in the universe and again the animation and the storytelling and a lot of violence, but not for violence sake. I really appreciated Princess Mononoke and also Akira, but that's not
Yeah.
and Ninja Scroll.
Classic.
But okay, I'm
Well, you do know that every time you mention something, I'm going to end up starting to watch it.
well, again, that's one of the things I would definitely recommend for all of our viewers and listeners out there in the universe. These are shows that obviously we remember, either recommend and you should not just take our words for it. You should go out and reference it. And what I will do is in the description down below, I will leave links to all of these so you can research them on your own time. Going along, gentlemen, since we are, eating up the clock as we speak, I want to know, and we touched about it a little on the beginning, but what you've been doing over this holiday season. But in general, what are we binging or doing, or what have we come across recently that just makes us stick out? Doesn't have to be movie, TV. It can be anything: music, comics, figure collectibles. It doesn't matter. Is there anything that you're binging on right now? I will start with Logan.
I think the biggest thing for me is probably Star Trek Discovery. I've mentioned this before. I'm a huge, lifelong Star Trek fan. My parents' mother introduced me to Next Generation. Live long and prosper as well, Julian.
Is that what that is? Okay.
Yes. I've always loved Star Trek. There's always just been something, I don't know, something about it that just is always just kind of taken me. With the exception of Babylon 5, and I suppose Battlestar Galactica for different reasons on both of them. But yeah, Star Trek Discovery, I've probably said it before, season 1 was difficult. I don't think I've seen a show with a more difficult season 1 since Babylon 5. However, by the end of it and the just absolute perfection that season 2 was, and that season 3 is actually finally taking the whole Star Trek mythos and putting it in a future state with new problems that is not going to be as bound by so many series set so close together, so that they can actually kind of explore the universe more and are not as trapped as some of the other shows we're getting when you had Next Gen, Voyager, and Deep Space Nine all set in the same time. It's just season 3 has been really, really interesting and really fun to watch as well, and the characters, just absolutely loving the characters and the character development and just the actors' portrayals. It's just been an absolute treat to watch, and I believe this Thursday, what is that, the 7th, is going to be the season finale for season 3. And yeah, just really, really looking forward to that and been enjoying that a lot.
Very good. And again, links to all these in the description below. Kenny, what are you embracing in a unhealthy amount these days?
2 things. I just discovered The Office not too long ago. Yeah, I know. Where have I been? I have seen the memes for The Office for years. I did not know where they came from,
The
but
American or British version?
Yeah,
so
that's
the American. So yeah,
American.
so
Okay.
the American version that's on Netflix right now, or
Mhm.
it was on Netflix and just left. So I had to actually go out and buy the series so I can finish it. But now I want to go back and watch the UK version of the show just to see how it compares. Just because I love Ricky Gervais too. I think he's hilarious. But yeah, so I'm up to I think season 5 on The Office, the American version right now. The other thing is Formula One. I've always loved racing since I was a kid, and Formula One has been some of the fastest cars in terms of racing. Technology and speed are just awesome. And I didn't watch racing for a while, and then Netflix came out with a series called F1 Drive to Survive, and they've done 2 seasons so far, and it basically followed the teams, throughout the 2018 and 2019 season, and now the 2020 season will come out here in a couple of months. But that actually renewed my interest in it. So I watched all the races. I've been going back and watching previous years through the F1 TV program, and then the F1 game on PlayStation 4. I've been going at a lot to the detriment of my marriage.
Well, no, that's great. Just to give some other viewing pleasures that reference F1 racing, there was a film that Chris Hemsworth did, directed by Ron Howard, called Rush, and
yes,
it was the story of Niki Lauda and James
Yep.
Hunt. And the guy that played Niki Lauda was Daniel Bruhl, who is also from the Marvel Universe, as is Thor, Chris Hemsworth, as Zemo.
Yep.
Yeah,
Baron Zemo.
Captain. The what do you call it? It's not Russian. Oh gosh, I forgot the one from Captain America: Civil War. Are you talking about that guy? The bad guy from
Yes.
Captain America: Civil War.
Exactly, the one who read the book that set off Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. He and Chris Hemsworth are in Rush. They're playing rivals in there. So
Yep.
But again, you know what? I'm going to stop doing that because everybody's been in a Marvel movie. You can't escape it. I mean, everybody from
we're getting there.
Yeah, and everybody from Anthony Hopkins to now, what's her name from True Grit, Haley Steinfeld. Everybody in between is in a Marvel film. That's the new 6 Degrees of Marvel. There, I just
Sounds like a good game.
Ooh.
it is. We will play that in a future episode.
6 Degrees of Marvel.
6 Degrees of Marvel. Patent pending. All right.
Get on that.
And Kevin Bacon was in First Class.
Very
That's
good.
right.
Very
Yep.
good. Yes. Yes, he was. So yeah, technically, well, not you. Yeah,
6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon
6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
in Marvel.
I will tell you this, and I'm glad, Kenny, that you went into literally a sports genre on binging. I have recently fallen deep into binge mode on a post-punk band called Idols. And again, I'm a little past my punk days. However, this is a band that I stumbled across. NPR has this series called Tiny Desk, where they have people doing just like these really tight, literally in a couple of cubicles worth of space, little shows. And I saw them, didn't think much of when I saw, they were nice. The lead singer is true punk. I'm talking like Henry Rollins, Black Flag, just screaming, guttural screaming punk music. And then I caught them on the radio recently, a new track from their new album. And, it's that moment where it just clicks and you're like, I like this band. And then you go through their entire catalog and then you start, sending them emails and staying, just going outside their house and like normal people do. Anyway, the reason why I do like Idols is They are a very hardcore band from Bristol, UK, and they are very, 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 very left wing, and their lyrics, embrace an entire ethos of, anti toxic masculinity, pro women's rights, anti-racism. They're very, I guess the kids call it woke these days, but the music is just so hard hitting and so, rough and in your face, well produced. Not, the 80s, the punk of the 80s. It's much more of a stylized post-punk, a lot of good production. And I definitely recommend that if you have a chance to just come across a few of their songs. Again, it's very rough and very aggressive, very in your face. But if you read the lyrics and, you start to listen to the guitar work and a lot of that stuff, I think you might find a new band that you can appreciate. Anyway.
I like that.
Yeah, anyway, that is my recommendation. And gentlemen, thank you so much for. Wait a second. Raymond, did you say what you're binging? Did you try and get out of this?
Mine's just keeping in theme with the whole redemption story, Cobra Kai. I finished. My wife and I finished the 3rd season in one sitting.
I've not watched any of them. I've heard good things about the first 1 and 2. I've not gotten a lot of feedback on the 3rd. I want to watch it. It's just there's so many shows,
Yeah. But what he calls it's they're taking Karate Kid to a new direction and same direction but more on just watch it. I can guarantee you're gonna enjoy it.
I will watch it now. The cynicism in me is like, how tough could, middle class, kids in high school be? And apparently from the trailers, pretty tough. They're kicking the hell out of each other on a daily basis. It's kind of like The Hood, but they have no financial woes and they don't get arrested. So is that what is that basically what it's like? It's like Boys in the Hood with no hood.
Pretty much, yeah. No one goes to jail.
I got it. It's called Boys in the Burbs. Is that what it is?
The funny thing is the person who goes to jail is always goes to jail is the main character. Yeah.
I do want to check it out only because I want to shake off my nostalgia for Ralph Macchio and what's his name, who was the quintessential dirtbag back in the 80s, the blonde guy, the guy who's I guess he's like the lead of the
he's the lead now. Johnny Lawrence. His name's Johnny Lawrence.
Yeah, he's the one that swept the leg, right?
Yeah, basically. But it's his redemption story. That's basically Huh. And if you like getting stuck in the 80s, that's the guy you need to follow.
There you go.
Yeah. Again, 80s. We can't escape it. It's
from start to finish.
It haunts us like a bad meal. Anyway, gentlemen, Raymond, Katie, thank you so much for joining us here.
Thanks for inviting us.
No, absolutely. And everybody out there, all the topics we've talked about again are going to be in the description below, so you can go over and look at the bands, the sporting events, the movies, the TV series, all of the good stuff. We're feeding you, and also we have just in 2021, is that a year? We have just recently started a Patreon, so you will see the link below in the description as well. And we also have a YouTube channel. We also have a Twitter account. We also have an Instagram account and a Facebook page. And I think that's it. Is there any other social? We're not on TikTok. We don't do the TikTok, but
a little too old for TikTok.
Exactly. I mean, I remember seeing a commercial where a guy was like in his room, and a man, I should say, like in his 40s, and he was like riding a broom, standing, and the kids came in and like, "What are you doing, Dad?" He goes, "I'm TikToking," and that pretty much wrapped it up for me. I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're all out on the interweb. You can't avoid us. We're like a virus, not the COVID, a good virus. And we want you to, keep coming back. We're doing weeklies. We're doing new shows. We're doing specialized shows, short reviews, everything you could possibly want. So coming to an end, I want to say, be sure to take care of yourself in this new year. Take care of each other. And of course, remember, if it's worthwhile, it's worth binging.